Bowling alleys are places of camaraderie, competition, and lighthearted fun. But what if I told you that one night, amidst the crashing pins and rolling balls, a gruesome crime turned a place of joy into a scene of sheer horror? A severed head found in a bowling alley's ball return sounds like something straight out of a crime thriller, but it's a chilling reality in this case. In this video, we'll unravel the terrifying story behind one of the most shocking crimes to ever take place at a bowling alley. It's a tale that combines brutal violence, a twisted motive, and a haunting aftermath. Stay tuned as we dive deep into the case that shocked a community and left investigators grappling with questions that would haunt them for years. It was an ordinary Friday evening at a bustling bowling alley in a small suburban town. Families, friends, and league players gathered for a night of fun and friendly competition. The smell of popcorn and the sound of laughter filled the air as pins crashed and balls rolled down slick lanes. For most, it was a night like any other. But for the employees, that night would soon become unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. As the night wore on and the crowd began to thin, an unusual jam in one of the ball returns brought the game at lane 7 to a halt. When an employee went to investigate, they expected to find a stuck bowling ball. Instead, they made a discovery that would forever change their life. A severed human head, staring blankly, wedged in the machinery. Panic erupted, and the bowling alley quickly descended into chaos. Local law enforcement arrived at the scene within minutes, cordoning off the area and evacuating the remaining patrons. Investigators quickly realized they were dealing with a crime unlike any they had encountered before. The victim's head showed signs of severe trauma, with multiple lacerations and contusions. It was evident that the person had been violently attacked before their head was placed in the ball return. But the rest of the body was nowhere to be found, adding a layer of mystery to an already chilling case. The initial investigation focused on identifying the victim. Forensic teams collected hair and tissue samples, while detectives combed through the alley surveillance footage for any signs of suspicious activity. Within 24 hours, the victim was identified as 32-year-old Mark Sanderson, a local construction worker with no known enemies. Described by friends and family as a kind and hardworking man, Mark's death left everyone in shock. He had no criminal record, no known involvement in illicit activities, and appeared to live a relatively quiet life. Detectives began interviewing Mark's family, friends, and co-workers to piece together his final moments. According to his girlfriend, Mark had left their shared apartment around 7 p.m., saying he was meeting someone at the bowling alley. However, she claimed not to know who he was meeting or why. As the investigation unfolded, two potential suspects emerged, each with their own possible motives. One of Mark's co-workers, Jason Bell, quickly became a person of interest. According to other employees, Mark and Jason had a tense relationship, often arguing over workplace responsibilities. Jason had been overheard making threatening comments about Mark just days before the murder. When questioned by police, Jason admitted to disliking Mark, but denied any involvement in his death. He provided an alibi, claiming he was home alone at the time of the murder, though no one could corroborate his story. Surveillance footage from the bowling alley revealed something far more unsettling. Mark was seen arriving at the alley shortly after 7:30 p.m. and meeting an unidentified man near the entrance. The two appeared to exchange words before heading toward the lounge area. Witnesses described the stranger as tall, with a muscular build, wearing a dark hoodie and jeans. He seemed nervous, frequently glancing over his shoulder. After spending about 20 minutes in the lounge, the two moved toward the back exit, where cameras lost sight of them. For days after Mark's head was discovered, a group of hikers stumbled upon a shallow grave in a wooded area 10 miles from the bowling alley. Inside, they found Mark's decapitated body, along with the weapon believed to have been used in the crime, a bloodied hammer. The discovery provided crucial evidence. Forensic analysis linked the hammer to the injuries on Mark's head, and DNA found on the handle matched Mark's and an unknown individual's. Police were now racing against time to find the killer before they could strike again. The break in the case came when an anonymous tip led police to 28-year-old Christopher Hale, a drifter with a criminal record for assault. Hale matched the description of the man seen with Mark on the bowling alley surveillance footage. When police brought Hale in for questioning, his initial calm demeanor quickly crumbled. After hours of interrogation, he confessed to the murder, though his explanation left investigators horrified. Hale claimed that he and Mark had met through an online forum and arranged to meet at the bowling alley. The reason? Hale believed Mark had wronged someone close to him in the past, though he refused to provide specific details. In a chilling twist, Hale described how he lured Mark to the back exit under the guise of a private conversation. Once outside, he attacked Mark with a hammer, decapitating him after the fatal blows. Hale's reason for placing the head in the ball return was, as he put it, to send a message and cause maximum shock and fear. The trial of Christopher Hale began 6 months later, drawing massive media attention. The prosecution painted Hale as a cold and calculated killer, driven by a warped sense of justice. They presented the damning surveillance footage, Hale's confession, and forensic evidence linking him to the crime. Hale's defense attempted to argue diminished capacity, citing his history of mental illness. They claimed that his actions were not premeditated, but the result of a psychotic episode. However, the jury was unconvinced. After deliberating for just 2 hours, they found Hale guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The brutal nature of Mark Sanderson's murder and the shocking way his body was displayed left a lasting impact on the community. The bowling alley, once a hub of joy and laughter, struggled to recover its reputation. Many patrons found it difficult to return, haunted by the memory of that fateful night. For Mark's family, the pain of losing him in such a horrific manner remains a wound that will never fully heal. His mother, in a public statement after the trial, spoke of her son's kindness and the senselessness of his death, urging others to cherish their loved ones and push for better mental health resources to prevent such tragedies. The case of Mark Sanderson's murder stands as a chilling reminder of how quickly ordinary life can descend into horror. What began as a normal night at a bowling alley ended in unimaginable tragedy, leaving behind questions that may never be fully answered. Christopher Hale's twisted actions and the mystery surrounding his motives continue to haunt those who follow the case. It's a story that forces us to confront the darkest corners of human nature and the fragile line between safety and terror. Stay safe, and remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that happen in real life. Even with Christopher Hale behind bars, some aspects of the case remain shrouded in mystery. Hale's refusal to elaborate on his motive during the trial left many wondering whether there was more to the story. Was his claim of seeking revenge grounded in reality, or was it a delusion born from his mental instability? Hale insisted that Mark had wronged someone close to him, though he never specified who or how. Investigators found no direct link between Mark and Hale, leading some to believe that Hale may have been acting on misinformation or fabricated grievances. Could Hale have been manipulated by someone else, or was this vendetta purely a figment of his imagination? Another theory posits that Mark was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Hale, already disturbed and seeking an outlet for his violent tendencies, may have fixated on Mark as an easy target. This would explain the lack of a clear connection between the two men and the randomness of the crime. Given the shocking nature of the crime, some have speculated that Hale's actions were driven by a desire for notoriety. Placing Mark's severed head in the bowling alley's ball return ensured widespread media attention, making Hale infamous overnight. In his mind, the crime could have been a perverse way to leave a lasting mark. The gruesome nature of Mark Sanderson's murder sent ripples of fear through the community and beyond. For weeks, the case dominated headlines, and people who frequented public spaces began to question their safety. The seemingly random and senseless nature of the crime struck a chord, forcing individuals to confront the uncomfortable reality that danger can lurk even in the most familiar places. The bowling alley where the crime occurred experienced a sharp decline in patrons. The staff struggled to erase the memory of that horrific night, but for many, the venue became synonymous with violence. Even years later, the alley remains a haunting symbol of the crime, a place where laughter and camaraderie were replaced by fear and sorrow. Hale's history of mental illness reignited conversations about mental health care and its role in preventing violent crimes. Many critics argued that Hale's deteriorating mental state should have been addressed long before it escalated to murder. The case served as a grim reminder of the gaps in the mental health system and the potential consequences of untreated psychological disorders. The Mark Sanderson case found a second life in the world of true crime enthusiasts. Documentaries, podcasts, and YouTube videos dissected every detail, from the gruesome discovery to the chilling confession. While these explorations brought attention to the case, they also raised ethical concerns about sensationalizing real-life tragedies. For Mark's family, the public's fascination with his murder has been a double-edged sword. On one hand, keeping his story alive ensures that his life and the circumstances of his death are not forgotten. On the other hand, the constant retelling of such a horrific event can reopen wounds that are already difficult to heal. Mark Sanderson's life was tragically cut short in a manner that defies understanding. He was a man who lived quietly, worked hard, and loved his family, only to become the victim of a crime so shocking it continues to haunt those who knew him and those who have since learned his story. As we reflect on this case, we honor Mark's memory by continuing the conversation about the systemic issues it brought to light. His death, while senseless and horrifying, serves as a catalyst for change, a reminder that we must remain vigilant, compassionate, and committed to addressing the root causes of violence. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video compelling, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of true crime. Stay safe, and remember, sometimes the scariest monsters aren't hiding under the bed, they're walking among us.